Now, for these particular lists, there's not gonna be as many as there are movies, and I watch a lot of TV shows, but I didn't watch every TV show, so there's only a few honorable mentions I'm gonna throw in on here. Hysteria, the show on Peacock, which has Julie Bowen in it, I thought was pretty good. Which is like this horror comedy where you have it takes place in 1989 during the satanic panic, where a beloved varsity quarterback's disappearance causes whispers of occult activity and satanic influences throughout the town of Happy Hollow. Dylan Campbell, Jordy, and Spud, a trio of outcasts in a struggle-heavy metal band called Death Crunch, decide to capitalize on the town's sudden interest in the occult by rebranding themselves as a satanic metal band, which leads to them becoming the targets of the town's witch hunt, especially when a bizarre series of murders, kidnappings, and reported supernatural activities begin happening. In addition to Julie Bowen, you've got Anna Camp, and of course, you can never go wrong with having Bruce Campbell in your cast, and also Nolan North. It's a really good show. Peacock had a really good year in terms of original shows, and that was one of the ones that was just like, man, this is really, really fun stuff. And like I said, you can never go wrong with Bruce Campbell. Is not in any way, shape, or form. And it's just like, you can't go wrong with him on that show. Hysteria, really, really good show. Next up here, probably one of the more bizarre shows to actually work, Chicken Nugget, which is a show that Netflix premiered, and I was just looking at it going like, what the hell is this? If you don't remember, this is a South Korean mystery comedy show where you have Choi Mina, the daughter of a company president, mistakes a new machine as a device which helps her with her fatigue, and she's accidentally turned into a chicken nugget. And as her father, Choi Soin-man, and intern Go Baek Jeon, who has a crush on her, try to turn her back into a human, they discover unexplained secrets. It's always amazing when the stupidest ideas possible can turn into one of the most enjoyably pleasant shows possible. This is definitely one of those shows with an idea that should not work by any means necessary, and yet it's pretty freaking hilarious and amazing. It's a show that knows exactly what it is not apologizing for how stupid it is, and it creates one of the more fun experiences I've had with a TV show all year long. Just incredibly stupid, incredibly ridiculous, just a good time all across the board. I really enjoyed the show a lot. Check it out on Netflix, Chicken Nugget. It's one of the most bizarre things ever, but goddamn, it works. Another show I really liked this year was English Teacher, which has Brian Jordan Alvarez as a high school teacher who finds himself at the intersection of professional, political, and personal aspects of working in a high school. And when I saw this, my first thought was, okay, Abbott Elementary, somebody's trying to cash in on the success of that. And it's weird that it's FX, too, that's put this on there. That's what I thought at first, but then as the show went on, as the show came on, it's just like, okay, this is doing a lot of things that it's distancing itself from Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary is more lighthearted. It's more of a traditional sitcom show, which is not a bad thing per se. This show, I think, works on the same. It's like if Abbott Elementary meets Bad Teacher, because they have a lot of really good talent involved in here. Brian Jordan Alvarez, who plays the main character in here, is really good. Stephanie Koenig is a nice fun character that is the opposite, is the character that plays the best friend of the main character. You've got Enrico Colantoni from Just Shoot Me, who can usually never turn in a bad performance. He was also in Veronica Mars. Sean Patton is very funny. There's a lot of great fun characters all across the board that you really do get behind. It's a really good show. It's a show that I really hope goes on for another season, but considering that there was some accusations going on right now about the creator is being accused of sexual assault by someone he used to work with, I don't know how exactly that's going to turn out for the series going forward. Hopefully these aren't true. Innocent until proven guilty, but that's not sounding too promising right now. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully it's innocent until proven guilty. But I mean, if it's gonna last one season, it was a pretty good season overall. Definitely check it out. You can watch it all on Hulu right now. English Teacher. Next up on my honorable mentions list, I have Dune Prophecy, which just recently premiered, if I'm not mistaken, because I think it premiered right after The Penguin finished its season. It did in November. And, of course, following the events, is set 10,000 years before the events of Dune. It commences 80 years after the human military defeated the Thinking Machine armies at Ominous at the Battle of Corran, and follows sisters Valia and Tuya Harkonnen as they combat forces that threaten the future of humanity and establish the Fab sect known as the Ben Gesserit. And just like the movies, the show really does look pretty impressive overall. I mean, this was a show that was originally supposed to be an HBO Max original series, and then they made it into an HBO series, and It works really well. You've got two great performances by Emily Watson and Olivia Williams to carry the load in here. They're both really good actors in here, and the show does not feel like it's just rehashing the show in general. It feels more like a continuation of the show, and it does it very well. It's a very entertaining show, very action packed, very well done. It feels like you're right back in from where you left off with Dune Part 2. And hopefully the show continues, because I really like what they did with the 6 episodes that they did. I think it is getting a second season too, so that's good to know. So, pretty good year for HBO overall in terms of their shows, which we'll delve into when we get to the top 10 list in just a second here. But then, what made my top 10 list, you might be asking? Let's take a look at my top 10 best shows of 2024. So, starting off with number 10 on my list, we have Welcome to Wrexham, which had its 3rd season. Of course, this was a show about the documentary series where Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They buy this Welsh football team, Wrexham AFC, and because of them, they helped to turn the team around. And this season is where, you know, the team continues to excel. They have done very well, and they win a critical game they won the final game of the season 2-1 in this particular season. This is just a good feel-good show. Like I said before, when I've reviewed the show in the past, even if you've never been a fan of soccer, myself included, kind of like with Ted Lasso, it's hard not to get invested in the journey of watching this football club get back in the national spotlight. And having Mac and Deadpool being the two guys that are all along for the ride here and putting all their effort into this, I mean, it really is very fun to watch. It's a good, heartfelt show that really knows what it's trying to accomplish here. And it's not just them as the main, it's not just McElhenney and Reynolds as the main focus. All these people that are in the Wrexham group, they're all along for the ride, and you get so invested and get so intrigued by what they're doing in here. And it's just it's a well done show. It's a really engaging show. It's a really great show. It's been one of the more enjoyable shows to come out of FX in a while. I'm glad to see it's getting another season. It's definitely worth a watch. Definitely check it out. Welcome to Wrexham. Coming in at number 9 on the list, we have Agatha All Along, the spin-off to WandaVision, where you have 3 years after being trapped under a magical spell in the town of Westview, New Jersey, at the end of the miniseries WandaVision, the witch Agatha Harkness, once again played by Catherine Hahn, escapes with the help of a goth teen who wishes to face the trials of the legendary Witch's Road. Without her magical powers, though, Agatha and the team form a new coven of witches to face the trials, while contending with some of Agatha's old enemies, such as the Salem Seven. And I'll admit, the show kind of started off very slow with the first episode, but once it got going, it does pick up the pace pretty quickly, and it leads into one of the more fun shows to come out of Marvel and Disney Plus in a long, long time. You can just tell that everybody's having a ball with this show, especially Catherine Hahn, who, started off as this great character actress and stuff like Crossing Jordan and Anchorman, and then it's just become, anytime she's in anything now, it's like she will immediately lift something up to a T, and like anything she's in, she's usually comedy gold, and this no exception. She's absolutely amazing in here. The show just is very entertaining and compelling, and it does keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the course of every episode. And it's a really good show. It's a show I'm really glad I really found a lot to admire about it. It's definitely one of the year's best shows in general. Definitely check it out. Agatha All Along, my number 9 favorite show of the year. Here's one that kind of comes out of nowhere. My number 8 show of the year is Bluey, of all things, and it's mostly because of the 3 episodes that aired in April. The episode is, this is a show that's clearly made for kids, but adults can find a lot to admire about it, and none of that is more true than what they did with these last 3 episodes that they did, that they set up to be like they set this up to be kind of like the finale of the show when you really look at it, because it starts off with, Bluey's family, they're about to sell the house and they're about to move to a new house, and then they have this great episode, The Sign, which, is a really impactful episode, because everyone thinks that they're about to go away, they're about to leave their home, and then the end of the episode is just one of the more perfect endings that you could have for an episode like this, where they just, there's not a whole lot of words, they just let the music and the scene just play out, and it just works so well. And even the bonus episode that they did after that, which is basically Bluey and them all grown up, and they do a very good job of handling that. 3 really solid episodes from a show that has been really, really solid all across the board. Like I said, this is a show that's clearly made for kids, but it's a show that adults can find a lot to admire about it too, because they do tackle a lot of real problems, and it just works so well on so many levels. It's a really good show, and it just proves that you only need 3 episodes to really shine as one of the highlights of the year. And Bluey did that so well this year, and just such a great show. And we're looking forward to see what they do next, especially with the movie coming out pretty soon. Number 7, The Simpsons Football Fun Day. The only way you can watch a game that has the Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals, who were not very good teams this year. Cincinnati got better in the month of December, but yeah, that's one of those things that made that game so much more fun to watch because of just how chaotic it was, how over the top it was, how bad some of the effects were. But there is something funny about watching Homer Simpson being the best quarterback the Cowboys had all year long, and seeing Lisa and Ralph catching touchdowns, Lisa catching the game-winning touchdown from Bart. I mean, there are times in this when you watch this that you get a little bit of a feel of Space Jam too, because of like the stakes are so high for something that really the stakes aren't that high, because the big thing was like, if Homer won, Bart had to go into his job and do his job for I think it was for a month, and then if Bart won, Homer would have to give up all of his desserts for the month and not for the month of February. And you got Dan Orlovsky and Mina Kimes, and I can't remember who the third guy is. Who's the third guy for these? They've had him on for like all the Disney ones that they've done, because they did the NBA one earlier, is not too long ago, and he was also the guy that was calling that game. Drew Carter is his name, and Drew Carter is a really good announcer. I mean, you listen to him calling the last play of the big play of the game, where in that game, of course, that was the one where Joe Burrow finds Jamar Chase for the game-winning touchdown. But when when Bart is throwing the touchdown to Lisa at the end, and you just hear Drew Carter making the call, you can't help but get excited when you hear this.
The ball's all the way out at the 40-yard line, so Bart will throw. It's Lisa, puts her foot in the ground, leaves her dad in the dust, and says, "If anyone needs me, I'll be in the end zone." Touchdown, Cincinnati. Bart to Lisa, 40 yards.
I mean, that is a good call. That is a good play call, and I want to see this guy doing actual NFL games. I mean, this guy could really do NFL. This guy does a pretty good job at calling these games, and I really like what he does here. And the whole thing is just fun too. Like, it was just good fun overall. Like, it made that game that could have been so unbearable much more fun than it had any right to be. It was so well done. Okay, maybe not well done, but it was so much fun all across the board. It was one of the more fun games that I watched on TV this year, just because of that alone. I know I'm going to be the only one that probably thinks that, but The Simpsons Football Fun Day was so much fun. Number 7 on my list of the best TV shows and events, pretty much, because that's what both of these lists are pretty are. Not just TV shows in general, but events in general. Moving on to number 6, we have The Penguin, with Colin Farrell reprising his role from the 2022 Matt Reeves Batman movie, and it explores the rise of power of Oscorp, the Penguin, in Gotham City's criminal underworld. Not only him, but this really is Christine Milioti's breakout show. Of course, Christine Milioti, you know her as the mother from How I Met Your Mother. She's been in a lot of other things too, but this show, as Sophia Falcone, this was her show all across the board. I mean, yeah, Colin Farrell's in the show, it's his show, but Kristen Milioti stole the show in general. She was fantastic. She stole everything. She stole the show. She was just so good in this role. Her character is so engaging and so enticing, and you just wonder, where is this all going to go? How is this all going to transpire? And the end of the show, like, this is one of the more engaging shows I've seen all year long, and it knows it's not afraid to take any risk whatsoever. They take a lot of risks here. They take a lot of chances, and more times than not, it works to a T. This is a really good show. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It makes you wonder, where's this all going to go? At the end of the show, it's just like, when they build up what this is building up to, it's just like, okay, I'm in love with this show. And it's just like, you also have a great cast that includes, Clancy Brown, Carmen Ejogo, Shorty Dashalu, Deidre O'Connell, Michael Kelly, Mark Strong. Like, it's a really good show. And if you love the original Batman, the 2022 Batman movie, which I did, it was my favorite movie of that year, you're going to love the hell out of this show. This is such a great show. It was worth the wait. It was worth waiting to finally get it out there, because it definitely did not let us down. It was a great show. I really enjoyed it. The Penguin. At the halfway point of the list, number 5 is Ted, which is the prequel TV series to the Seth MacFarlane movies, as we travel back to 1993, where Ted, once again played by Seth MacFarlane, is now kind of a has-been. His moment of fame has passed, and he now lives back at home with his best friend John, played here by Max Burkholder, along with his parents, played by Scott Grimes and Alana Eubank, and his cousin Blair. And Ted may be a lousy influence on John, but at the end of the day, he's a loyal pal who's always willing to go out on a limb for friendship. And this is the type of show that makes you realize, God, I miss Ted so much. Ted is such a great character. Even though Ted 2 was definitely a step down compared to the first movie, I always loved the character of Ted, and I went into this with a decent amount of higher expectations just because I love those movies and the character in general, and this show really did exceed a lot of my expectations and then some. It's a show that just works because I love the camaraderie between not just Ted and John. I mean, that's one thing, but all the family get a lot of chances to shine with Ted, especially his cousin. His cousin, Georgia Wiggum, is really good in the show, and she could have easily just been a side character overall, but they put these characters in situations that, you know, they get a chance to shine, and they all work very well. The jokes are still hilarious. These characters are really fun to watch. The writing is great. It's just good damn fun, and one of the reasons why it's worth getting a Peacock account. I mean, I have the benefit of having Comcast, so I get it for free regardless, but if you don't have Peacock, you're missing out on a really damn good show on Ted. It's one I highly recommend checking out. It's my number 5 favorite show of the year. Moving on to number 4, we have maybe Ryan Murphy's lone achievement this year, because let me tell you something, that guy had a lot of really bad stuff that did not work, and we'll get to those in just a little bit, but Feud Capote versus the Swans. In the show, you have acclaimed writer Truman Capote ruining his friendship with the Swans, a socialite group of New York City high society, by writing a thinly veiled, fictionalized account of their scandalous and hedonistic lives in his ultimately unfinished novel, Answered Prayers. When Esquire publishes the chapter La Coute Basque in 1965, after the restaurant of the same name frequented by the Swans and Capote himself, several vow to ruin his life in revenge, and this really is one of the best shows of the year, with a stacked cast that includes Naomi Watts, Diane Lane, Callista Flockhart, Demi Moore, Chloe Sevigny, Molly Ringwald, stealing the show, Treat Williams delivering one of his last great performances in this. But there is one notable flaw about the show that I do have, and that's with Capote himself. I wasn't a fan of Tom Hollander as Tom Capote, and I was just waiting for him to break out and have that great Capote episode and show what he could really be in that role, but it just never comes out. It does really feel like he's trying way too hard at times, and he could be good when he needs to be one-on-one with somebody, like, you know, Jessica Lange plays his mother, which, again, a really great performance in there. Like, when that's working, that's fine, but more times he's more annoying than entertaining. But other than that, though, this is a slick, stylish, and intense series with strong performances from the females really carrying the overall load of the show. It's a really good show. I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely one of the year's best shows, no question about it. Moving on to number 3 on the list, we have Star Wars Skeleton Crew, a show that just recently premiered on Disney Plus in the last month. And it was a really good show overall. 9 years after the fall of the Galactic Empire, 4 children end up on an adventure to make their way home after being lost in the galaxy following a discovery that they make on their home planet at Atene while befriending a Force user played by Jude Law. And this is a really good show. This is the show that really, it feels like Star Wars is equivalent to not only Stranger Things, but also feels very equivalent to, like, old 80s movies, like Explorers and Flight of the Navigator, like these shows where, you know, they don't make movies like those anymore. And a show like Star Wars Skeleton Crew has the advantage of using the Star Wars universe to its advantage. And this is really one of the more entertaining things to come out of the Star Wars Disney Plus library that I've seen in a long, long time. It's an Amblin show. It's like the equivalent of an Amblin show mixed in with Star Wars, and it just works so well. It's a very entertaining show. Jude Law's a ton of fun. You know, these characters are really enjoyable. I've been really enjoying the show. This is definitely one of the best things that they've done since The Mandalorian for Disney Plus, and it's a show I highly recommend checking out. Star Wars Skeleton Crew, definitely worth a watch. My number 3 favorite show of the year. My number 2 favorite show of the year is FX's Shogun. What more can you really say about this show that hasn't already been said? It follows the collision of 2 ambitious men from different worlds. John Blackthorne, a risk-taking English sailor who ends up shipwrecked in Japan, a land whose unfamiliar culture will ultimately redefine him. Lord Taronga, a shrewd, powerful daimyo, at odds with his own dangerous political rivals, and Lady Mariko, a woman with invaluable skills but dishonorable family ties who must prove her value and allegiance. And this is a show that they've been talking about for years now, and they put a lot of money together to put this show on the air. And I'm very happy to report that this show was well worth the wait. It's brilliantly put together from a storytelling perspective, an action standpoint, casting, direction, visual scope, scale. Everything just comes together to make one of the greatest TV achievements we've seen in a long, long time. Not since a show like Game of Thrones broke the mold for television almost over 10 years ago, but Shogun really is high up there with one of the best shows on TV, one of the most incredible TV accomplishments we've seen in a long, long time, and a show that has to be seen to be believed. I can't really say too much more about this one that hasn't already been said, but if you have not seen Shogun, you are missing out. Definitely check out Shogun. Which brings us to the number one show of the year, and I don't think it's really much of a surprise what it is. Number one, that is X-Men 97. X-Men 97, of course, continues the story of X-Men the Animated Series. In both series, mutants and people are born with superhuman abilities that generally manifest during puberty. The X-Men are a team of mutant superheroes founded by Professor Charles Xavier to protect mutants and humans alike. And at the end of the animated series, Xavier nearly dies in an assassination attempt and is taken to space to be healed by the alien Shi'ar Empire. The show begins a year later and sees the X-Men facing new challenges without Xavier, using the leadership of their former adversary Magneto, and just like the original X-Men animated series, it combines action, soap opera-style drama, and exploration of serious topics. Just an amazing achievement that really does feel like you never left this world that they left in 97. I mean, this is a show that feels like you're right back in the thick of things. Many of the same voice actors are back for this. They have a bunch of new actors in here that really do not sound very different at all from the last time we saw all these people. This is just an engaging, entertaining show that is not afraid to take chances, and when it does, it takes them and just rolls with them. This is an amazing show that's just so well put together. It's just so well animated. The stories are incredible. The music is top notch. It's not afraid to go overboard when it needs to, and it's a great show that really is a great continuation of the original series. Even if you never grew up with the original series, there is so much to admire about this show on all levels that you just can't help but really find yourself enjoying it. This is a great show, amazing show. X-Men 97, easily the best show of the year, and it's not even close. This was the towering achievement for 2024, and yeah, it's going to be really tough to top what they did in the first season, but hopefully they will do that with the second and third seasons, even if the same person who created the first season isn't involved in this. But so there you go. That's my list of the 10 best shows of 2024.